In a studio that's in a basement comes the epic story of how two friends changed the future of the movie podcast game forever. The reviews are in. Boys Life magazine gives the High Sci podcast 4.5 acorns. The Daily Bugle says, these guys are super legit. And Pope Francis declares the podcast as life-affirming. From the kid who tried to get smart with David Spade and got fucking old.
You're still bad.
And the guy who can name all four Baldwin brothers.
Alec, William, Daniel, and the baby boy, Stephen.
Live from the studio of his parents' basement. The Have You Seen It podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Sitting across from me is the one and only Cash Krause. But before we begin, if you guys can please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. So with that said, Cash, what are we reviewing today?
Excited to talk about this one.
Yes.
A new A24 film that we are fresh off of seeing.
Yes.
Literally minutes ago.
Minutes ago, yeah. We just wrapped up seeing this film.
We are reviewing The Green Knight, new A24 film, directed by David Lowery, starring Dave Patel and Tomb Raider herself, Alicia Vikander.
Yeah.
Her best film. Yeah. In dual roles, yeah. Absolutely in dual roles. Yeah. This film, my God, if you have not seen it yet, go and see it so you can understand just how we feel right now. Because I would say, do you feel stupid?
Yeah, I feel stupid. It's a lot to process. I
feel really stupid, but I said this in the car, but I'm almost positive I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm almost positive I really, really enjoyed this movie. I think I'll even enjoy it more a second run through.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those that you want to watch again. And did you hear the guy when we walked out of the theater? Yeah. He said, well, it was a good movie, but I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I had a complete opposite take where I was like, I need to see this again.
But I think that guy perfectly sums up what I think most people are going to be. Yeah, I think totally most people will walk out of this film and enjoy it, but then go, I'll never watch that again. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I don't know, the more, because we're so fresh off of it, I haven't had a lot of time to process it. Yeah. But the more I think about it, the more I think I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I think once you start thinking and trying to digest the symbolism and what it all meant, you get more and more out of it. I have to be honest, never read The Green Knight.
No.
Never read Sir Gawain the Green Knight.
No, neither did I.
I purposely went into it blind thinking, I don't want the story to be ruined. Turning out, I probably wouldn't understand the poem as much as I understand this film. Right. But, we can talk about, I think the big thing is the imagery in this film is fucking fantastic.
It's beautiful.
I think a lot of people will come out saying, this is a film that's style over substance. I don't believe that at all. I think the story was there. I really enjoyed where it went. The parable of where Sir Gawain went. But the imagery, man, every fucking frame looks amazing in this film.
Well, and there's symbolism throughout this film, too, of what Sir Gawain would have went through. He could have went and died multiple times throughout this film.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where without that little thing that his mom made, that green...
Cumrag.
Cumrag, yeah. I think we're going to have to refer to it as the
Cumrag stays on during sex. Remember that scene where she's like, all right, let's take this off. And he's like, hold on, you bitch.
Yeah. This is my protector. It keeps me safe.
That was, that whole thing of the Cumrag was huge. It showed his cowardness and his inability to accept death. Because in the end, I think it's kind of well known, is the Green Knight represents death. And death comes for all of us in the end. And we all turn green. That's what she said.
Right.
And you got to accept it.
Red is the color of lust. Oh, right? God, which is when you're alive.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, when you die, you turn green.
Speaking of less, the amount of face touching and caressing in this fucking film,
it's quite a bit.
It's quite a bit. If you made if you made a drinking game out of take a shot every time a face is caressed,
you'd be fucking hammered.
You'd be dead. Your liver would be shot because there's a lot of fucking face caressing. But yeah, I think that's a pretty simplified explanation of kind of what it all meant.
Right.
Was, he went through all this shit, and the whole time, all these things were tests for him to be able to accept death. And that's what being a knight was all about.
Right. It's definitely the hero's journey, because we start with Sir Gawain, and, he's immature, he's drinking, he's getting up late. Even his girlfriend at the time was telling him that, don't you want more out of life? Like, you're such a simpleton. You know? And I think that's a lot of the reason why he took up the challenge of the Green Knight,
Well, he wanted to be a knight, but he didn't know what it took to be a knight. He thought it was, slaying people and whatnot. But she says very on, and there's so many things you can pick out for this film, but that kind of explains the entire film. But she says, what's wrong with goodness over great? Why can't you just be good? And it wasn't good enough for him.
No.
He had to strive to be the hero, but he took the easy way out.
Yeah,
that was the thing. Is he took the easy way out.
That was a common theme too.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the entire thing, at the very end, he took, instead of facing his death, facing the Green Knight, he just said, "I got to get the fuck out of here."
I'm out of here.
Which I love that scene.
Yeah,
I love that whole
of,
scene.
His life and what it would have been.
Yeah. We'll jump all around, but that's the very end. But the very end is so fucking... It's like the very end is like the third act is like 40 minutes and like 2 lines are said. The entire time. It's amazing. The entire time he's going through that premonition of living your life without honor. Yep. And if he leaves right now without honor, then every decision he'll make will be without honor. And your life will be shitty.
Well, and that's the whole reason why he took up the journey, too, was to be known in history for the ages. Right?
Yeah. Well, the Green Knight comes in. If you don't know the story, he comes in, waltzes in. And there's so much I fucking loved about this film. But the Green Knight design, the prosthetics are fucking fantastic.
Did you see resemblance to Tolkien? Lord of the Rings, like the trees.
Well, that part, the only part that I connected the two was whenever he moved, it sounded so cool. Just moving, whenever he moved one limb, it sounded like wind blowing through a forest. You hear the creaking of the wood. It sounds like when he moves, he's just one guy, but when he moves, it feels like there's a full fucking forest behind him. That's the kind of part because that's just like Treebeard.
Yep.
He's going through and you hear the cracking of the wood and the wind. Sound design, give that guy a fucking raise. He did such a good job. The score is amazing.
Yes, it is.
The score is absolutely amazing. It puts you in the time of whenever this kind of vague time is, 5th century, whatever. But yeah, I love the design, the prosthetics, the practical effects. He was not CGI.
No, he was not.
And A24 is kind of getting their own kind of A24 family. There's a few people in this film that were in other A24 films. The Queen and the Green Knight were both in The Witch.
Well, and she was also in Game of Thrones as well.
Yeah,
the Queen.
Yes, she was. You're right. Yeah, yeah. But her and Queen Guinevere, who's played by Kate Dickie, and the guy who played the Green Knight, Ralph Ensign. They were both in The Witch. They both played the mother and the...
Oh, the mother and the father.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
But Ralph Ensign, he fucking kills it as the Green Knight.
Yeah,
that voice is incredible. She does great too, but yeah, he was amazing. And we got to talk about Barry... I can't say his last name. It's very Irish. Barry Keoghan? He's the guy who plays the scavenger.
Yes.
He's also in Killing of a Sacred Deer, another A24 film.
He's in a lot of crazy films too. He's a phenomenal actor.
He is, and he's phenomenal in this too.
Yes.
That line of, "Where's the Green Chapel?" And he looks around and goes, "You're fucking in." He doesn't say you're fucking in it.
Yeah, but he says you're in it. But
that's what he meant.
Yeah. That long take with him too was awesome when he was on the horse. When Sir Gawain's on the horse and he's following him the whole time.
Oh my God. That single take was fucking amazing.
I got 2 brothers out here.
He did so good, man. When him walking and like doing multiple things, playing with the arrows and whatnot, and doing that really long take walking. I can't imagine how many times they had to shoot that, and him stomping through that ankle deep mud. It must have been pretty fucking. But yeah, man, that was all like him saying "you're in the Green Chapel" was mean everything he's been doing since he's left the kingdom has been the test. You're in the chapel, man. Yep. This is the test right here. Yep. So him saying that was like, yeah, you're in it. But yeah, I think that all symbolized something. That symbolized like his like charity or whatnot, because that guy, the scavenger, he says, my brothers died, and he doesn't even. Sir Gawain does nothing.
Doesn't even bat an eye. It's not important to him.
Absolutely. And then he even tells him a shortcut, and he does nothing. Like, the guy practically has to beg him for any kind of...
Well, and also, that was early on in Sir Gawain's journey, too, as well. This was at the time where he had the cum rag, the one that he initially had from his mother, right? Yes. The green and gold. I don't know what those things are actually called, so we'll just refer to it as a cum rag. But
it was a cum rag.
Yeah, it was. Well, it ended up being.
If you haven't seen the movie, you gotta watch it. It's a fucking cum rag for sure, and he uses it multiple times to come in. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
But you saw the arrogance in the greenness, like no pun intended, but the greenness of like Sir Gawain and how he thought he was untouchable with that thing. And they end up kidnapping him and stealing everything that he had, including that. And that was the first time where he felt vulnerable.
Exactly. And then later on, it's like there's like 5 trials or whatever to be a knight. One of them is like chastity. You can't fuck until you find your wife. And he was willing to give up his chastity to have that protection again. That's what that symbolized was. Yep. And then she says right after that, she goes, "You're no knight." Right, he's got cum in his hand. Yeah. He's crying. He's embarrassed. We've all been there. We've all been.
And sure enough, he was
some girl looking at you in disgust. You're fucking disgusting. You're like, I am disgusting. And he started bawling.
Don't look at me. He runs out the room.
Cum in your eyes and shit.
You forgot it was on your hands.
But that is what that meant. Is like he was willing to give up. If you're a knight, and that's the whole thing about being a knight. It's all honor, right? Everything is honor.
Every last drip of it is
exactly.
Honor.
And that's why.
No pun intended.
Yeah, you're right. Every sweet drip of that semen. Yeah. But that was it. Yeah, that's exactly it. Everything he was willing to do was something a knight wouldn't do.
Yes.
The fox showed him that he was his friend. At the end, he ended up forcing the fox to leave. It was all shit that a knight would not end up doing. And like even killing the Green Knight, I feel like is something a knight wouldn't do because none of them did it.
Yeah, and you saw King Arthur too. Like when he did behead the Green Knight. Initially, you saw that look of despair on his face because he understood what that meant for Sir Gawain.
And I did not expect the Green Knight to just have fucking regular blood, have regular insides.
Yeah, that
I
was
thought
a little
for
weird
sure.
too.
I enjoyed it because it was spraying, but I thought for sure it'd be like a flower
Moss.
Petal when it would come out or something. But it is he's just flesh and blood.
I love how he gets
a lot of
to,
blood. He's chock full of blood because that thing was spraying.
It was. I love how he just sits up too and just takes his head and is like, "I'm out of here."
That is something I did not expect. There is a lot of intentional humor.
Mm-hmm. There is.
There were some funny parts. We had a pretty good crowd where there was a few parts where people were laughing out loud. We had one lady that was very into the movie.
She was great though.
Oh, she was.
I like people who are like that who aren't
so
annoying.
Do I. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She wasn't yelling the whole time.
No.
But she was invested in the film.
She definitely was.
When she showed that the other Alicia Vikander had she went, "No!"
No! She was a lot of fun though.
She was. Yeah. She was shocked by everything. Yeah. But I felt the same way. Mm-hmm. Especially when he runs out at the end. I'm like, where the fuck are they going with this?
Right?
Is he just taking off? He's going to be fucking king for the rest of his life?
Well, and then Joel Edgerton, I don't know the character's name in it, but...
Just the Lord.
The Lord, yeah, just the Lord. Yeah. We get a very interesting scene.
Yeah. Well, that whole 20 minutes of him in that house is, for one, no one asking questions. What's with the old lady?
Yeah.
No.
Not a single question asked. But again, this is also
and she's
something...
in every room.
Every room. Yeah. Oh, she's watching everyone. Even though she's blindfolded, she's watching everyone.
I think she's pretending to be blind, and really she's in the corner while you're
Well,
having
it was
sex.
Definitely his mom. And metaphorically, it was his mother, because remember, she did that in the very beginning.
And
when she's doing
the
that.
fox also, I believe, was a metaphor to be his mom as well. Yeah.
But that's also something a knight wouldn't do. So, this lord takes Sir Gawain into his home.
Yeah.
And not only did he have sex with his wife, but then also not telling him about the green cum rag that his wife gave him to further on his protection.
In my mind, he should have given the Lord the cum rag.
Yeah,
Right?
That's what he should have done.
He said, whatever you get here, I get in return. And then you can have my game or whatever. He said, but he didn't give it to him. So he stole a kiss. A little kiss.
Stole a kiss. And what an intimate kiss that was.
Oh my God. I felt the connection there a lot more than I felt between Dave and Alicia Vikander.
Yeah. Well, I noticed during the kiss, actually, in the background, there were sparks. Literal sparks flying. I don't know if you caught that, but
I
they
can
were there.
feel it. Oh, I can feel it, brother. Yeah. But it's so bizarre. The entire movie is so bizarre, but it's good. It's hard. It's really hard to describe. If you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend seeing it, but it's very weird, but very good, I would say. Yeah. But weird is how I would describe it. But it should be. Arthurian stories are so fucking weird because they're so old.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is by far, I mean, it's got to be like top 3 of best Arthurian movies of all time.
Unquestionably.
There just never been a good one.
Well, outside of that one, the King Arthur film,
I knew
did you see that?
No.
That was a gem.
You know I haven't seen
It
it.
was a gem. It was real good.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. No one has been able to really do a good King Arthur story. But I think I would say David Lowery kind of pulled it off here.
Yeah.
It had the perfect combination of weird and atmosphere, The atmosphere was so good. You felt like you were there.
You were there,
In this weird kind of mystical time of you don't really know what time it is or what century you're in. But it just makes sense because the atmosphere was so fucking good. I love the look of the castle. Of all the castles, looked amazing, and the kingdom and everything. It was awesome.
And there's also a theory that with these folk tales, right? These stories that we don't know could very well be fabricated throughout time. It was interesting when he was captured in the forest with the 3, robbers, and they tie him up. And we see the camera slowly pan over to a corpse that looks identical to his.
Yeah.
My question is, did he actually die in the forest? Right? Because then right after that, we get an interlude.
I just think it showed that he was still so scared of death. And again, it's very unknightly like to be taken by 3 kids and put up 0 fucking fight. I think that is what it just showed, that it was just him thinking, I can't let it end here, or this is how I'll be remembered, is just a corpse in the woods. Kind of like earlier on, he saw the guy shot with the arrows. I think that was kind of the same sense, was like, this is how he'll end up being, if he doesn't do anything.
But it also could be that this Sir Gawain, if this story isn't in fact true, that he actually did die in the woods. And what if whoever was telling these tales just added on to everything and he never did come home? There never really was a story of Sir Gawain.
Well, you couldn't tell the story that he came home because everyone would be like, no, he didn't.
There's a lot of fabrications throughout history with stories, and so
I guess if you're telling it 8 centuries in the future, but I don't know. I don't think anyone would tell a good story about Sir Gawain because he died the first day. So, I mean, there's not much story to tell about
But, I mean,
him.
you're not going to know that, though, if he died the first day.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you just have to make up a ton. I mean, you're taking a lot of liberties with that guy's story. You're adding on 98% of it. Yeah, I don't know, but I don't think he died. I think it was just symbolism to show that he could die here if he just gives up.
You also think that because he feared death, that's also not a very knightly thing to do. You're not supposed to fear death.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's
at
what,
least in the capacity.
And that's what
that
he
did.
constantly. That's again is the whole thing is death. It's the Green Knight symbolizes death. Even when he goes into when he finds the girl in the house with the headless girl, is when he dives into the lake or whatever, and he sees the redness. I think that symbolized his.
And do you think that's a representation too of someone who didn't fear death in the same way that he feared?
Exactly. Yeah.
That she was willing to stand for her principles and for
her chastity.
Yes, for her chastity, and for the fact that she wasn't going to allow this man to.
That's exactly what it symbolized. Yeah. That she was willing to have her. She was willing to have her head cut off for honor, right. But he was never willing to let her do it, or let him do it, or whoever do it. But that's what the axe represents. Run as is it's the axe always represents death. Yeah, it's the final blow, I guess.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to walk that one off, not unless you're the Green Knight.
Let me tell you, executions with the axe in the old day did not always go with one swipe.
No, they did not. No.
A lot of time you got a real nervous guy up there who was like also a butcher or he did some other job, and it took sometimes like 7 or 8 swings. Yeah, and you're just sitting there going, "Oh, you fucker!"
Think about it. You don't hit that spine right. You hit the shoulder blade or something like that. You're not.
Happens
you're
all
not
the time.
taking you're not taking that head.
Or you forget to sharpen the axe. You drank a little the night before, and now you're
hit
adult.
The top of the skull, something like
You
that.
just knocked the guy out. Yeah. All right, we got to do it tomorrow. We got to do it again.
And meanwhile, he's sitting in pain.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man, that's the most gruesome. I mean, that's why hanging was looked at as like a more humane way to kill people.
Yeah,
it's because the axe is so. People are not perfect.
They're not. They're not. It's not
you
always
need
a clean
perfection
swipe.
in an execution.
I would recommend the Green Knight because I guarantee you, it's one swing every time.
That's what I thought at one point he was gonna go, like, just make sure your strike is true or something like that. Because I was worrying the whole time this guy maybe.
Well, he kept pulling away. He's
exactly.
like, no, I don't want to die. I don't want to die.
And the Green's well, he's like, make this easier on me, guy.
Look, I'm trying to make this easier on you.
Because
this is going to happen.
Your mouth head off down the mouth. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's happening for sure. I love that scene when he first goes into the Green Chapel and he just has to wait there like an entire day. Yeah, why he's like Green Knight just
when you can see him slowly wake up too with the eyes. I really like that shot.
So did I, and it still just stood there or whatever. I love the shot too of him walking through the forest in like the sun or whatever, and just the orange.
That orangish,
so good. But the fox following him too. Let's talk about the Giants.
Okay, so I had to go pee. So I missed a small portion of the Giants.
The worst, yeah. Well, you missed their introduction, which it didn't really explain much, but I love that scene. That Giant scene was so fucking bizarre, and like, what the fuck does this mean? Yeah. All the Giants were women. One of them was holding a baby.
Yeah, I did see that.
It was so cool, but the symbolism I got from that was like it was showing like this, like some things were too big for him, literally. Like he asked the Giants, did you see the part where he asked the Giants for a ride?
Yes.
Yeah, he asked the Giants for a ride, and then the Giant reaches out its hand or whatever, but he cowers in fear or whatever. Right. I think it meant to show like some things are too big for you right now. And like, even though you think you can get into this giant business or whatever, he was really not prepared for it. Like maybe they could have taken him there or whatever, but he wasn't really ready to take the leap into fucking that big business of being the Giants. Yeah. I think that's what that symbolized. Because really,
you think Giants could have symbolized like Giants being the biggest you can be, right? They're Giants. Do you think that also could have potentially symbolized him being king and that he wasn't ready for the biggest job there is?
I think that's exactly it. Is like the Giants represented that he thinks he's ready for this huge opportunity. But when that opportunity reaches its hand out, he cowered and feared back. And so he really wasn't ready for the opportunity. But man, I would have loved to see him fucking ride one of those Giants. It would have been cool. It would have been a cool scene.
They hold him like the little giant baby.
Would it be like this?
Yeah, it would
be like this.
Yeah. Be one-handed. Sits up on the shoulder.
Yeah,
like exactly. Treebeard.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
walking through the forest.
But exactly, and even the fox, like remember the fox, like barks at the Giants. I think that was his mom also being like, you're not ready for this yet, especially when you can't even deal with death
at all.
Yeah, you're not ready to live with the Giants, brother. They got big shit on their plate. But yeah, I love that scene. I love the look of the Giants. It's a scene that they teased in the trailer, but it was a perfect amount of time. Yeah. You don't spend too much time with the Giants, thank God, because it could have been overdone. But I loved it. Mm-hmm. And they're big old. They're all nude too.
They are. They're
big old giant
naked.
titties in your face.
Yeah, those are the most.
But
Giants.
not very appealing looking.
No, not overtly sexual or anything.
Not at all. No. Not at all. No. Unfortunately, no. But I really love that scene. There's so many scenes that I could pick out. I mean, I like the scene a lot when the Green Knight first comes in. He's got the holly.
Yeah.
He's because he feels like he's like 800 pounds. Mm-hmm. The Green Knight. I mean, that's
also
how
feels ancient.
Exactly,
yeah.
And that's how he's portrayed on camera. And they do such a good job of portraying him like that. Because from the second you see him, you think, "Oh my God, this guy is as old as time." Mm-hmm. And even with how he rides in on the horse or whatever, I thought the horse was gonna be magical or something.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
just a normal horse.
Normal horse, probably thinking this guy's heavy as fuck.
Yeah. I really love the end of this film though, because it kind of wrapped everything into this like nice package.
Yeah.
And for people who maybe don't understand the story of the Green Knight, like I didn't read up on it or anything like that, but I love the premonitions or even this view of what his life would be like if he did run away from the Green Knight, if he did cower again.
Yeah.
Because King Arthur and his wife eventually inevitably die. He impregnates his girlfriend but does not marry her.
Steals her baby and leaves her a handful of gold.
Yes.
Fucked up.
And then marries I'm assuming some royal woman who looks just
queen.
like
Yeah,
the girl
exactly.
that was beheaded.
Not in that, but his child dies. The child, like the only thing representing his love, his real love, because obviously he didn't love that other chick. That kind of looked like Elle Fanning, Dakota Fanning's sister. I thought it was for a second. But yeah, it all represented that if he runs away from death right now, you will live your entire life like a coward.
Yeah.
You will watch your son die and everyone, and even at the very end.
When they're in the court and you hear this army.
And he still has the photograph. Mm-hmm. But the photograph has aged also. Yeah. It's very strange, but somehow he got that. Yeah. Like he went back to the Lord's house and be like, I got to get that picture.
Hey, that's a good
First picture ever. Yeah. I got to have it.
Of me on top of it?
Yeah. It's going to be worth a lot of money someday. Yeah. But I love that representation.
And I love that he's still wearing the green belt, right?
Yeah.
And then he takes it off in this premonition, and then boom, immediately his head falls off.
Yeah, well, at first he had to take it off like it was a part of him. Mm-hmm. Like you could hear it.
You could hear it squelching like he was, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Before that, it shows his new wife and his daughters abandon him, and then eventually his mom takes her hand off his shoulder and also leaves him, showing that everyone he's cared about is gone now. Yeah. I mean, literally, he was on the verge of losing the kingdom.
Yep.
Because he was a shitty king.
He was.
Let his son die. But that little bit of that war scene looked fucking awesome.
It did.
When they're doing the trebuchets or whatever. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. But yeah, it's very little. It's like 12 seconds, but it looked fucking awesome for sure. But yeah.
We get that finalization with his head falling off, and then we go back to the Green Knight. And I love it. The last dialogue
it's
in this
so good.
Film. All right. Off with your head.
Yeah, and he gives him a little scratch. Because he said earlier on it'll be a scratch or the same blow that you dealt to me. Yeah. Which he could have just scratched the Green Knight.
He could have.
He said any guy that lands a blow, one blow, but he took his fucking head off.
But again, that's the arrogance of Sir Gawain not ever being a knight, never going through any trials or tribulations.
Yeah, another knight would give another knight the equal respect, and he did not. I mean, he wasn't even a knight at the time, but he didn't even give the Green Knight the respect that he deserved. So
exactly.
So he took a lot.
He did. Well, he also had to go through a lot. So,
yeah, he did. But I gotta say, the whole thing was I thought for sure like he give riches, and once he killed the knight or whatever, he did nothing with it. Yeah, he absolutely squandered a year. People were, everyone knew him. Yeah. He was famous at the time. He could have done anything.
The puppet show, which is a big deal in those early centuries. They were doing puppet shows of them.
That's the Blockbuster.
It is. It is Blockbuster.
People would wait in line for days camp out and be like, oh, the newest puppet show.
I love how all those puppets were silent too. It gave this very like real.
There's still that A24 creepiness behind it. That giant scene of when the camera flips over like the midsummer was that giant scene. I talked about it like it was cool, but it's very creepy.
Yeah,
it was a very fucking creepy scene. Knowing that these otherworldly beings, these fucking 800-foot people are just walking around and no one knows why. Like, where are they walking? Where are they going? What do they need? What's with the baby? No one knows because it's over everyone's head. No one's prepared for it.
It was so funny, too, because when that camera turned like that, Mary leaned over and goes, A24. And I was like, yep.
That's the thing about these films is all directed by different people.
Yes, they are.
But they all somehow have, like, if I
a style to
if I showed you 100 movies, you would be able to pick out which one was A24.
Yeah.
Like, they have that such distinct... Maybe it's just good filmmaking. That's what they all have in common.
Yeah.
And we're so unused to it. We're like, wow.
Well, I mean,
this is weird.
Think about how packed that theater was. And you had big movies out in the theater right now.
That was my initial thought. Like, why was this not in a GXO? Why is this not on the 80-foot screen?
Too.
You could have filled that theater probably. There's probably that. I guarantee those people, because that theater was packed.
Yes, it was. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that many people were there.
Yeah, so I guarantee there's people that wanted tickets and didn't end up going because there wasn't seats.
Because
not a lot of people buy before like we do all the time. A lot of people go and just do it there, but I guarantee that people missed out on them because there wasn't. We were sitting seat to seat with people.
We were.
There was no space.
No, there wasn't.
But I gotta say, I mean, usually I'm worried about the crowd, like people talking. People were silent.
They were awesome. Yeah.
Surprisingly so, yeah. But I think that...
and I like the one woman. I thought she was great. She
I
made her comments when when appropriate. Exactly. You know?
She was saying what we were all feeling.
Yes, exactly. That's she said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, she did for sure. And every time I was like, yeah, she's right. Like, what the fuck's going on? Yeah. She was just as confused as all of us, but I wish we could have got her on the podcast.
I know. That would have been great. She would have been a great guest.
I guarantee she would have fucking loved it. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think that shows you the power of the film, though, that everyone was quiet. Mm-hmm. When you see a shitty film with an audience that packed, people are talking the entire time because the film's not exciting enough. Right. But with this film, everyone was pretty quiet. And I think everyone that went out to see it Friday opening night probably knew what they were getting into with A24. So,
totally agree.
So they were respectful for it.
And we did get to see the Lamb trailer as well. That was great. We got to see that.
I swear, right before they showed that, the last one, I was going to go, where's Lamb? And then they fucking showed it immediately. Yeah. And people gave the exact reaction I thought. They laughed at that one part where it turns nice. And then the last 30 seconds, everyone went, oh, yeah. I swear one guy went, oh.
They were pretty vocal about that, yeah.
Which is exactly what I wanted, because that's the reaction that we gave. Mm-hmm. Was like happiness, like, oh, this is kind of cute. Then when those fucking sheep are running towards the door and they're all crammed in there.
Yeah, you see the sheep with the breathing apparatus, like and then the Baphomet and stuff. You're like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't going to be fun.
No, and they're like, it's not just a kid, and then you hear the, and it sounds like it's 10 feet tall.
Yeah, and it says Mother Nature, and then it turns into Lamb.
I did not notice that the first time, the Mother Nature thing, but yeah. A24, man, you're killing it. If I was a billionaire, I'd open up a studio exactly like A24.
Take the blueprint and run with it.
Because there's not enough studios giving these kind of filmmakers chances.
Yeah.
Before A24 and these small, there was none. You had to be a big studio. You could do an indie film and 10 people would see it. Yeah. But A24 is giving good filmmakers the opportunity to make good fucking films.
I love it. That's how it should be.
Yeah, that's how every studio should be, but
that's why I support A24 too. Any film that they have that's in theaters,
I'm gonna start buying merch. They have a whole A24 merch store.
That's funny. I was just thinking about buying merch too, because I've been on the shop a few times.
It's cool. It's a really cool store, but a lot of stuff sells out really fucking fast. Yeah.
Well, they have like screenplay books and stuff like that too.
Yeah, they do. Awesome. And shirts too. That's A24. And
I want one of the dad hats to just say A24.
Yeah, so do I. I saw those. Yeah, they looked fucking awesome. But yeah, I would absolutely. And I would never in a million years think, I got to support this studio. But this is one that I'm like, yeah, I don't want. And I don't want another studio to buy them. No. Which I think.
I pray to God.
It will happen. It may be another 10 years. but it will happen.
But we'll enjoy the ride until someone does.
And then hopefully though another studio will pop up just like it.
And they're super unique too. I love the way they introduce A24. It's always super unique. And Lamb, it was all the sheep lambs, you know,
Must have took them forever to train those sheep. That's a tough thing to do.
Midsummer was like all the flowers.
Yeah, they do.
It looks cool. It's
I do. I always appreciate when people mess with their production company title card or whatever. Yeah. I like that a lot. Yeah. Well, Mason, was it everything you expected?
It was.
It pretty much was. Yeah, it hit the nail on the head for me. I knew it was going to be weird and bizarre, which is what I look for in an A24 film. And original. Super fucking original.
I was a little worried coming into it, just coming right off the film. I was like, I was trying to process it all in the car, just kind of like, you know, the sequence of events and
Same. I was like, did I like that movie? Yeah. Or did I fucking hate that movie? But the more you sit with it, the more you realize a lot of it stuck with me. Yeah. And now I want to see a King Arthur story in the vein of that.
Yes, for sure.
Fucking
that'd be awesome.
weird. We saw Excalibur. It was there.
It was.
He could barely lift it.
Barely.
King Arthur in this film, not in great shape.
No, he was on the latter half of his life.
Yeah, they were Charlie Browning at one point where his wife had to lay on the cross in the bed and they were both dying.
Yeah, that's sad.
He was bad, man. But I want to see him in his prime.
Mm-hmm. So do I.
And a really weird. I think we saw Merlin at one point too.
Yeah. Well, we did see King Arthur in his prime in the Guy Ritchie King Arthur film.
All right. Enough.
All right.
Enough.
All right, everyone. That is our review of The Green Knight. If you guys like what you see here, please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Krause, and until next time.
Bye.